Welcome back to the KJ Methods YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to all who may benefit from it. All right, well, what I would like to do today is a title transfer test. What I've noticed about all of the videos that I've been uploading is that you guys seem to like test more than anything. And so I'm going to try to do a series of test questions. All right, so let's get started. Title transfer. Number 1, the deed that provides the greatest liability to the grantor is. Let's take a look at the answers. Is that a general warranty deed, limited warranty deed, bargain and sale deed, or a quit claim deed? Well, the deed that provides the greatest liability to the grantor must mean it's the deed that the grantor is giving the most warranties, or it's giving the most, and that would be the general warranty deed. I've also seen this question written in the reverse way, where it says, which one gives the greatest protection to the grantee? Well, it would be the same answer. Next one, Reg Z requires that all of the following be disclosed to a potential purchaser except, well, what is Reg Z? If you remember from the TILA RESPA videos, Reg Z is the regulation that goes to the Truth in Lending Act. If you ever see Reg Z, we're talking about TILA and vice versa. And so the answers here, the total finance charges, the annual percentage rate, the total attorney's fees, and the discount points. Well, TILA relates to the loan itself. And so what we're looking at are things relating to the loan, not the settlement costs, which would be RESPA. And so which one is not relating to the loan? That would be the attorney's fees. That would come under a RESPA statement. Okay, next one. John purchases a home where the closing takes place on January 18, 2019. Immediately after the closing, John goes on vacation, but doesn't record the deed. Several years pass, and John finds the deed in one of his briefcases and decides to record it on May 20th, 2022. Will John be allowed to record this deed? Well, let's look at the answers, and what do we know about recording? One is recording is not necessary, and so he finds this deed 3 years later. Let's look at the answers. No, recording the deed must happen immediately after closing. We know that that's not true. John can record the deed at any time. That is true, but may be subject to claims from others who gave constructive notice of ownership. I like that answer. We'll talk about that in a second. No, John's failure to record the deed placed a cloud on the title, so he now can't record it until the clouds are removed. That is not true, right? You can record a deed at any time. There may be some problems, but you can certainly record it. Yes, John can record the deed, but must include an explanation. No, you don't have to include an explanation, so I do like answer B. But let's talk about it. We know that constructive notice is that notice that we presume that you have, even if you don't actually have the notice. And so what we say is he could record the deed at any time. The problem is that he may be subject to claims from someone else, all right, who gave constructive notice, because the rule is this: the first to give constructive notice is the owner of the property. You could give constructive notice in those 3 ways we talked about. Recording the deed, moving in, cultivating the land, and so forth, right? And so he may be subject to those claims. But yes, he can record the deed at any time, and recording is not required. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Sam owned 10 acres of land with a farmhouse located on the property. When Sam sold the property to David, he didn't mention that Betty leases the farmhouse on a 2-year lease. Okay, David purchased the property sight unseen. What is the most likely result? What is most likely true? David will be able to evict Betty before the end of her lease because he's now the new owner of the property. Sam did nothing wrong and is not liable or guilty of fraud. Since the farmhouse was occupied by Betty, David had actual notice of Betty's lease. Since the farmhouse was occupied by Betty, David had constructive notice of Betty's lease. What do you guys think? I like D. Since the farmhouse was occupied by Betty, David had constructive notice. Occupying a particular piece of property is constructive notice. It is not actual notice. And also, you guys know that you take subject to the lease, and so A would definitely be wrong. Number 5, if a grantor dies before the property is received by the grantee, but the deed is delivered to the grantee's agent, can the agent still give the property to the grantee? Well, you guys should know this one. Yes, because the doctrine of relation back says delivery to the agent is the same as delivery to the grantee. No, because the grantor died before the grantee received the deed. Yes, because it was delivered and accepted by the grantee. Maybe more information is needed. What do you guys think? I like A. Doctrine of relation back says delivery to the grantee's agent is the same as delivery to the grantee. And so if that grantor dies after delivery to the agent, then of course that agent can go ahead and deliver it to the grantee because it is one in the same. Number 6, in which situation might a cloud on title result if it was searched in 2021? All documents were properly recorded from the time from which the building was constructed. A grantee took title in a fictitious name and reconveyed the title in that name. A lien recorded in 2002 wasn't satisfied till 2018. A title search reveals that in 2010, a defective legal description was recorded. I'm going to give you a second on that one. Okay, the answer here is going to be D. A title search reveals that in 2010, a defective legal description was recorded. Why is that? Because we're searching the title in 2021, all right? So it's definitely not A, it's not a cloud on the title. Fictitious name is totally fine. A grantee can take title in a fictitious name as long as they reconvey it in that same fictitious name. No problem there. A lien recorded in 2002 was satisfied in 2018. And by the time we searched it in 2021, it was satisfied. So no cloud there. But that defective legal description in 2010, there's no indication that it was cleared. And so that would be the cloud. Number 7, Mary and Jane own property together as joint tenants. Jane travels to the Maldives and doesn't return. After a prolonged search, it's determined that Jane cannot be found. Mary decides that she wants to now sell the property. Her best course of action would be to ask the court to petition the property and order a sale. Ask the court to quiet title in Mary's name. Ask the court to quitclaim in Mary's name as Jane's heirs to quitclaim the property to Mary. Which one do you think this one is? This should be pretty simple, and you guys really should be getting to the point of knowing that, you got a joint tenancy, somebody dies. I mean, we've seen this over and over again, right? They're actually, we don't know that they died, they're gone, they haven't returned, so they're unavailable in the law. And so you should always be thinking quiet title anytime the person is unavailable. Can't be quitclaim because that is voluntary. We're not petitioning because there's not a disagreement between the parties. This is joint tenancy. And so there is a right of survivorship in Mary. She just needs that court to make a determination that Jane's not coming back, essentially. All right. Alex is a 15-year-old in a state where the majority is 18. Alex was granted a house 3 years prior at the age of 12 and now decides that he wants to sell the property. So he correctly signs and delivers the deed to Mr. Jones without the use of a guardian. This conveyance is. This is actually a very tricky question. I wrote this question and I do think it's tricky, intentionally tricky. I try to make them where I know that you're going to make the mistakes. So let's look at the answers here. We say that this is valid because Alex owns the house. He doesn't need a guardian to transfer the property. Well, I think we all know that that is incorrect, right? He's underage. He's not 18 yet, so he's going to need a guardian. So let's throw that one out, all right? It's invalid because he was a minor at the time of the conveyance. Let's hold on to that for a second. It's voidable by Alex because he was a minor at the time of the conveyance. That's the other one I want to look at. So let's hold C. It's invalid because Alex could not be given a house when he was a minor. And I think you should know that D is incorrect because he was a grantee, and grantees do not have to be of majority to be given a property. Okay, so let's look at B and C because this is where the confusion will come in. And I've tested this question amongst many students, and students pick C all the time, right? Voidable, minor, voidable, minor, voidable. But this is not a contract. This is a deed. It's a deed. And what do we say about a deed? That you have to be of majority to convey. And so he's conveying this deed. And so in this situation, it is invalid because Alex was a minor. Don't forget, voidable means that it could be valid, it could be invalid. But when a minor conveys a deed, it can never be valid. So it's invalid at the inception. Number 9, Carol is the purchaser on a single-family house. She's taking a loan on the property. At the closing, Carol purchases a lender's title policy but declines to purchase an owner's policy. 3 years after Carol moves in, it's discovered that she had an income tax debt. The IRS has been attempting to collect this debt for 10 years from Carol. When it discovers Carol owns a house, it puts a tax lien on the property. Carol contacts her title insurance company, to which they respond. Since all purchasers have a 4-year period after closing to purchase an owner's policy, if she does so now, they will cover it. I've never heard that rule before, so let's get rid of that. Carol would have been covered had she purchased an owner's policy. What do you guys think about that? No. This is Carol's debt from the past. She knew about it. You can't now get the title company to pay for it. So it doesn't matter that she didn't purchase it or not. While title insurance covers items from the past, it doesn't cover acts of the current owner of the policy. That's right. That is definitely correct. While title insurance would cover her for her debts, no, it would not. And so the answer is going to be C. Pretty easy on that one. You know, it's kind of like if you know the elements, then it's pretty easy to then come up with the answer. Number 10, Derrick is selling his home. He signs the deed over to the buyer, but does not have it notarized. In anticipation of closing, he gives it to his attorney, and he tells his attorney he will meet him at the closing table the next day. Derrick dies unbeknownst to anyone. He dies that night before the closing. Can his attorney complete the closing and since the deed was already signed and delivered to him? Well, no. The attorney cannot complete the closing because it must be delivered to the grantee when Derrick's alive. That's A. B, yes, because the attorney had specific instructions from Derrick. C, yes, because the attorney had no idea that Derrick died, so he can go ahead and complete that closing. D, no, because the deed has to be notarized before transfer. What do you guys think on this one? Well, the answer is going to be A. No, the attorney cannot complete this closing because it must have been delivered to the grantee while Derrick was alive. Derrick died, all right, and your grantor is always going to die in these test questions, right? And so if it's still on Derrick's side of the table, which it is, it's in his attorney's hands, then it can't be transferred. Everything else is fluff, all right? And there was no delivery of this deed. All right, well, that's it for today. So once again, thanks for coming to the KJ Methods YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. You could also comment and let me know on any other videos that you may want to see. I will certainly try to record those. Okay, see you next time, guys.